mind was wandering down to New Orleans.
Welcome, everybody, to Grown Up Stuff, episode 11. My name is Notice, his name is Swamp. I guess we got this fucking meteor that went by.
I heard something about it.
Yeah, what did you hear about it, man?
It blasted with the impact of a nuclear bomb over Russia, injuring 1,100 people, shattering windows, basically freaking everyone the hell out.
It was an explosion. If you've heard the videos with sound, it was an explosion.
Yeah, it created a sonic boom. Well, it was traveling at like 35,000 miles an hour.
Well, they're saying there's still black smoke in the sky today, believe it or not. Pretty fucking interesting shit, man. Or do you think there's any possibility that could be a UFO?
Yes, I think that's very possible. Well, what would have happened if that thing actually made it through the atmosphere and hit the Earth? It would have been like even worse.
I think it probably would have been like a Yellowstone type event. Maybe not as bad, but close to it.
Something similar happened to that in the early 1900s, right around the same area in Russia, and wiped out like millions of trees, made a huge crater.
There's still speculation to this day that it might have been a UFO that crashed. Tunguska events. There you go. What? How could he be doing that right now? What? In the fucking membrane, if you ask me.
We're talking about Russia. I gotta have the Russian hat on. Meteor explode.
Like, you remember in school, you might not remember, but in school they had the little, like, you got a sheet of Valentine's Day cards. And
I might not remember.
No, what I'm talking about is these sheets and give people, like, little business card Valentines. Like, so you could give a whole bunch of people. That was the most...
Why wouldn't I remember that?
I don't know, man. I don't know when they started doing that.
Go out and buy, like, some kind of Valentine's with, like, a superhero or some crap on it.
See, I think the sheets were good because it for somebody like me, it let me know that it was just a cheap holiday, like a fake holiday created by some people to sell some shit. You know what I'm saying?
No, I have to make a resume.
You got to make a resume? What?
Yeah. With my work history and love. Yeah, I remember my first girlfriend. I was like really into her, like just like my first one, like kind of like first hooking up, and I kind of really liked her. I guess it was right before freshman year, so I guess 8th grade. And then I didn't call her for 3 days, and she dumped me, and I was like devastated, like writing like sad poems and shit.
He's got a heart and soul, kids. He's got a heart and soul.
After 3 days, she called me. She's like, "You haven't called me in 3 days, and this other guy asked me out, and I'm thinking about saying yeah." And I was like, "Well, if you're thinking about it, just do it then. Don't call me anymore." And I hung up the phone. I'm like, "Oh." Like first, I get pissed off. Like, fuck that. And then like later, I'm like, "Oh man, what a disaster this is."
You get used to living your life with somebody that's like you're sharing your ups and downs with, you know what I'm saying? You're talking to them on a daily basis and telling them what's fucked up in your life, but also what you look forward to in life or what's going good in life, and you get used to having that person there. So when that person is no longer there, it feels like there's a void, but you don't know if you should fill it or not, you know? Like, part of you wants to fill it, and that's why a lot of guys go out and get laid, but another part of you is like, that's the only person who can fill that void. Like, what am I going to do without that person?
Or she broke up with me, my girlfriend, like 10 months ago or 11 months ago. I went on one date since then, and I felt guilty, like I was doing something wrong, even though I wasn't. Like, I was like, I hope nobody sees me out with this chick. And I was like, wait a second, I'm single. And it was the worst date ever. Like, we're sitting there at the restaurant. I'm like, get whatever you want. Steak? You want filet mignon? You want wine? Get whatever you want. You know, I got it. So we eat all kinds of steak, get a bottle of wine. Check comes. I pay with my debit card. They come back. We're sorry, sir. Your card has been declined. I'm like, she's like, don't worry about it. And, like, pulls out $100 bill. I was like, this is the worst date ever. Like, I'm not good at this. I've been out of the loop so long, I don't even know how to date.
I don't know.
I'm a terrible man at the moment.
In the materialistic viewpoint of the world, yes, you are a terrible man. In the materialistic viewpoint of the world, I'm a fucking terrible man, dude. We're both pieces of shit in the materialistic point of view of the world, you know? When in all reality, we're not. We can be good people. That's what I'm saying is having your own place, your own car, like all that kind of shit, having a job, all that kind of shit, that does not define you as a good person or not. That can define you as a lazy person or not, or other definitions, but not a good person, you know, or not like a morally good person. And if somebody cares about like that kind of shit, and thinks that you're a nobody because you lost your job and you lost your apartment, then those fucking people are nobodies. They should be nobodies in your book anyway, you know? You heard about the kangaroo fight? So you were telling me about the San Francisco fireball?
Within a 24-hour period of all the meteors blasting Russia and that giant asteroid coming within 17,000 miles of the Earth, there was a mysterious blue, kind of like fireball. It looked like shooting through the sky, looked like a UFO or something in San Francisco.
I think it might be a UFO, and this is the start of a UFO invasion.
I think it might be the start of a UFO invasion.
There's one that's supposed to be coming in 2032 that is like the size of Texas.
Well, they call it wormwood. Supposedly, if it hits the Earth, it'll wipe out like 1/3 of the population at least. Let's get serious. Let's be grown-ups here about this.
I miss 80s style, man. You miss 80s style? I miss like 80s and early 90s style. This shit was so shitty, it was great. I've been there. Don't you think that's funny when somebody brings like their whole gang of friends to fight you, and then you kick their ass in front of their friends? Yeah, here's my question, dude. How many fucking Guantanamo Bays do you think are out there? Like, how many Guantanamo Bays that we don't know about are out there? You know?
Quite a few, I imagine. Like, it maybe in our army bases we have some dungeons down there. We chain people up to the walls and pour water down their throats or whatever we like doing.
What if waterboarding got like added into BDSM shit? And it was like that just became like some normal shit, like how spanking at one point was like a bad thing, and like kids would get spanked and they hated it. But nowadays, spanking has become like a total sexual thing. You know?
My dad took me to the big library, and I got a book on torture. And some of the techniques the Nazis did were crazy. Like one technique, they would bring a chick in to rub the dude's dick and get it hard, and then put a glass straw in his dick and break it. So he had to keep the erection, or else when it went down, it would rip his dick apart, and they would see how long he'd be able to will his dick to stay. Another one is they would cut a hole in the fence and put the person's dick through it and nail it to the other side and give him a sharp piece of glass and set the fence on fire to see if he would burn to death or cut his own dick off with a piece of glass. Also sewing people's heads together to see if they'd rip their heads apart to get away from each other, or submerge them in ice cold water to see how long they could last without dying of hypothermia.
You know about Project Paperclip, correct? Or yes? No? You do? You don't? You don't know about Project Paperclip, where they the U.S. hired like all the Nazi scientists, the top Nazi scientists? Project Paperclip, some interesting shit, dude. You delve into that, it's some interesting shit. Yeah, that was one of the first things I researched. That and how the United States is a corporation. We lost our viewer. I don't know what happened. That fucking sucks, man. Fuck this shit. So I don't know,
very boring. We're just boring people.
Oh, our one viewer's back. All right, good shit. Thank you for coming back, one viewer.
Fuck you for leaving. He says thank you for coming back. I say fuck you for leaving, asshole.
Because I feel like in school worlds, while Bush was the president, there was a lot of talk about the Guantanamo Bay and shit like that. But once Obama became president, I perceived a shift. I really don't know, because I don't know kids in school and shit, so I don't know what they're talking about in school. But from what I hear is that they're not talking so much more about the civil liberties atrocities, which is what Guantanamo Bay is. Whereas when Bush was in the White House, they talked about those civil liberties atrocities more.
Personally, I don't really mind Guantanamo Bay. I think it's not that bad.
Have you ever tried a cock meat sandwich?
No. It sounds like a blowjob? A cock meat sandwich?
In my life, what the fuck is going on there? What happened to him?
Foot surgery. You want to see his feet?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. You look like Art or Johnny Five. Yeah, you look like fucking Johnny Five or some shit out of fucking... The Nephilim.
I thought it was Nephilim.
Like say Neph and then like film, or N-E and then film, Nephilim. Oh no, Flim, like flan. I don't fucking know,
like
man.
a flim flam, like your entire show here.
Yo, do you think they ever actually existed? Like, you know, they found bones that are like the bones of giants, right?
In almost every culture, when you go back all the way, there was giants. That the angels angered God because they were having sex with the human women. And they were creating these thing called the Nephilim. I don't know where you're getting the name Nephilim. It's the
look it up. Look it up. Or we'll put info on the.
Look it up. I know what it is. I read the Bible. What do I look like? I think Michael was the one that came to Mary and told her. I
love how we just got all religious. It's 3D Jesus.
Testicles, spectacles, money, cigars. It really saddens me that Sim Fuckus is dead.
Yeah, he would have been a great guest, man.
He would have been a great guest.
Yeah, man, you heard about the Pope?
Ratzinger.
Joseph Ratzinger.
He's got the coolest, most evil name.
He looks evil, dude. I don't know if anybody out there agrees with me, but I think the Pope looks evil as shit. The Pope of right now, Joseph Ratzinger.
Ex-Nazi youth, Ratzinger.
Yeah, doesn't he look like he's a fucking ex-Nazi youth? You hear they're going to grant him immunity if he stays in the Vatican city limits. If he lives in the Vatican city limits, he's not going to get charged.
He's not leaving the Vatican. They're not going to raid the Vatican. Can you imagine getting molested by Ratzinger?
How many little boys do you think he's butt fucked?
Hopefully none, because that'd be a nightmare for them. I mean, this is like something like a fucking zombie coming up. Oh, Ratzinger is here. Take off your knickers. Ah.
But you want to do a Mystery Science Theater with me?
I was watching the State of the Union address, and here's Biden watching the president talk. He's like an actor. He's worse than me with the podcast. Like wiping a tear out of his eye when Obama talked about roads and bridges. And it's like the most inappropriate time to have a tear. And he's like,
no!
He's so full of shit. He spent trillions on that fucking roads and bridges and shovel-ready projects. And it's a fucking disaster. How does he have the balls to continue to fucking talk about it? Anyone who has half a brain realizes that he's full of shit.
You know they're not going to raise minimum wage, dude? Do you know a little more about this than I do? I only know that John Boehner, the Speaker of the House, said they're not going to bring up the issue of raising minimum wage. Do you know anything more about that?
And if look, everybody in the fucking country deserves $8 an hour or $9 an hour and not $8 an hour, you're dreaming.
But look,
you're fucking dreaming.
The economy's not going to recover without minimum wage going up because people need to be able to spend money. But as minimum wage goes up, businesses have to pay more, and therefore their profits go down. So the economy, in a sense, is take the chance on nosediving if you raise the minimum wage.
I'd love to go on MSNBC and just fucking start, because I was watching it again, and their fucking hand movements drive me fucking crazy. Let me tell you about something here. Especially the ones that use their hands on every syllable that they fucking say. It drives me fucking nuts. The economy might nosedive and then explode. Fuck that shit.
Dude, what do you think the minimum wage should be? Let me put it this way.
$7.50. No, scraping by Bill's character.
Do you think it's a self-control, like the poverty issue is more of a self-control problem? Like I was going to say, if you raised minimum wage, that would give people the incentive to get off of welfare and to get off of unemployment and actually start making some money. Well, here, how much harm would it do if we eliminated the income tax for 1 year only, to relieve the economy, the stress on the economy, eliminate income tax for 1 year. You remove federal income tax, and you make that up by taking 3% of or 2% of the military budget. Would that not help? I'm trying to think of like solutions to the poverty problem.
The only reason I don't mind paying taxes is because I want a strong military. I want to be defended. I don't want the United States to be taken over, fucking bombed, run down.
That, my friend, I strongly disagree with you on. I believe we could spend 5% to 10% of the money we spend right now on military and be more than safe if we just
5 to 10% what we spend now.
You know how much we spend now? In comparison to the
it's about equal to what we spend on welfare. So you think what we spend on? I remember who was saying this. Rand Paul. He was having this same discussion with somebody, and he said, "So you think what we spend on military is greater than what we spend on welfare and social program?" And he was like, "So what you think is what we spend on our defense and military is greater than what we spend on social programs and welfare?" It isn't. Yeah. It's about pretty much the same.
I don't know, dude. Honestly, I don't know. I think there's a lot of like hidden money being spent in the middle. Like, look at it this way: the $5,000 hammer or the $10,000 toilet seat. You ever heard of that kind of shit?
Who
Look at
cares?
this.
We're the United States. We're not the United fucking States of the fucking Earth.
This is Dwight D. Eisenhower in his farewell speech. A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction. Our military organization today bears little relation to that known by any of my predecessors in peacetime, or indeed by the fighting men of World War II or Korea. Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But now we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportion. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. We annually spend on military security more than the net income of all United States corporations. This conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwanted influence, whether sought or unsought by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machine of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together. Akin to and largely responsible for the sweeping changes in our industrial military posture has been the technological revolution during recent decades. Well, basically, he was warning us about the military-industrial complex and back in the day, and how we need to be knowledgeable about that and know what they're doing. We need to keep an eye on what they're doing, and we've taken our eye off of what they're doing. That's what I'm trying to say. So they've gone rampant, and they got a blank check. You know, they got a blank checkbook that they can just spend whatever they want to spend because they say it's for the greater good of the country. That's new. That's in the past 50, 60 years. That's all new. We can go back to how it was before and still be prosperous, you know, and not bankrupt the country trying to do it. That's what's going on, is our country's being bankrupted by this shit. And it's really, like, what pisses me off is our country's being bankrupt to kill innocent people in other countries under the guise of fighting terrorists or terrorism. Terror. Al-Qaeda. Terror.
Entertain everybody for a second. I gotta spring a leak, drain the lizard. Shake hands with the governor.
That's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. This is Dr. Twill Ungenbone, and I am his boy, Maui. Swamp. I don't give a shit, you know what I'm saying?
Have you ever got tired of, like, having, just being on a drinking binge and having, your breath all of a sudden just smells like alcohol?
Hey.
Crest with vodka. The answer to all your problems. Here it is, drug facts. Active ingredient, sodium fluoride.
Look up what sodium fluoride, what else is sodium fluoride is used for, dude. That's some funny fucking shit. Good for your teeth, but it's bad for your brain.
I've been fucking around with hypnosis for the last 2 days, heavily. Dude, I was in a trance from like 9 o'clock this morning till right before this show started. I didn't move. A lot of weird shit happens, dude. Like, I was feeling like weird fucking vibrations going on, like in different parts of my body and my brain. It can reach an acid peak at its highest level. I need you to take deep breaths so I can cut your oxygen off for a minute, for like 5 seconds. Yeah, I have the weirdest hypnosis style. I'll be like,
yeah, I was watching Wile E. Coyote and fucking the Roadrunner, right? And he sat there and he's like doing this, and the Roadrunner was just looking at him like, what? And then all of a sudden Wile E. Coyote got hypnotized by the shit and walked out, and fucking, or the Roadrunner put up a sign that said walk forward, and he walked forward off the cliff. Oh, it was great.
Did you ever see the one where Wile E. Coyote actually catches the Roadrunner?
I think
he can't figure out what to do, so he lets him go and he chases him.
He's like, well, my life is gonna suck without this guy, without him. You know?
It was like the most intense moment of my life up to that point. Like, he caught the Roadrunner, and he's just like,
that's Bill McCoy right there.
I'm Bill McCoy. I'm the real McCoy.
If you could ask Bill Gates anything, what would you ask?
How many women has he been with? I wouldn't ask him how many women he's been with. That would be like question number 2.
What is his views on depopulation? or on population reduction. He's actually, from what I know, he's come out on 3 or 4 different occasions and told people that he wants to reduce the population by 98%. That's how this planet can survive.
Oh, so that would only leave the elite. It would get rid of all the riffraff. And being so, as I haven't finished college, and
me and you were gone, dude. Me and you were gone. Sorry, but me and you, we're cold.
Yes, God? Oh, God asked me, God told me to ask him, why he looks like such a fucking dork.
Yeah, revisionist history, dude. What do you know about revisionist history?
To the victor goes the spoils, and whoever's in power controls the narrative.
Do you think it would be a good idea? Like, I've had this thought before of wanting to like open up a school for like children, for kids like 5, 6 years old and on, up to like 18, 19 years old, where they can go and learn what they're not being told in school, like revisionist history, for example. I never knew about revisionist history. I didn't even know it existed until maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't even know what that meant.
If Hitler would have won the war and everything worked out good, we'd be hearing about what a visionary he was to reunite Germany and Austria and fought the communists. Or a republic if you can keep it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes of all time. Besides, don't fool yourself, girl. It's going right up your poop chute by Frank Zappa. Fool yourself, girl. It's going right up your poop chute.
Over the last few years and going forward, that quote means more and more because we've lost the republic. This is no longer the republic, and people don't even realize
He knew we would. He knew we couldn't keep it.
It's funny how the illusion is kept up that we still have. If somebody were to ask, like, do we still have a republic? Yes, of course we do. But then you start talking about politics in this country, and it's like, well, we spread democracy. This is a democratic nation, blah, 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 you know?
What was Obama just saying in an interview? The one thing that's troubled him since the beginning of his administration is that he's the president and not the emperor.
The emperor.
Sure, you didn't say it'd be easier if he was a tomater?
A tomater? Tomater? I don't know. Dictator?
He's a tomater.
Why does Chicago have the highest murder rate in the country, yet they have a total gun ban?
Because that's what happens when you have a total gun ban.
What the fuck? How the fuck does that? They have a gun ban, yet have the highest murder rate? What if another city decided to have an all-out gun allowance? Like, you can have any gun you want. You know what I'm saying? Under the federal law or whatever, you can have any gun you want. That's what I'm saying. You feel a lot safer in a armed populace than you do in a place where the populace isn't allowed to have weapons, so they got to keep them hidden. You know?
Yeah, because the people that have the conceal and carry permits, they're good people. They're not out there threatening you with it. They know that they have a responsibility.
I'll give you that. They're naive because they have their guns registered, and eventually somebody's going to come take their guns. But then again, they're just trying to follow the rules. You know, a lot of people just try and follow the rules. They don't want to rock the boat. And can you really blame them? Sometimes you rock the boat and you get shot in the head for some fucking weird reason.
I remember finding a gun in the Delaware River that washed up on the shore, and we were fishing with my friend's dad, and I gave it to him. Looking back, I'm like, that was probably used in some kind of fucking crime if somebody threw it in the fucking Delaware right there at, like, Sandy Beach.
If we could get Obama to join us on the show, even for 5 minutes, would you be open to having Obama on the show?
Yeah, I would ask him about why he attended college as a foreign student.
Or where the name Barry Soetoro came from. Is that ever an alias he used in his life? Whether or not it was a legal name of his or not.
Yeah. It's used in his college fucking records.
That's what I'm saying. So where did that name come from? What is the story behind that name?
You don't know the story behind Barry Soetoro? Basically, his mom went to Indonesia when he was young and married this guy Lolo Soetoro, who legally adopted him, and he became a citizen of Indonesia. Renounced his U.S. citizenship, and he went to grade school. I've seen interviews with the people that were his teachers, other students, that said that he bullied them. What do you mean you don't know who Barry Soetoro is?
How does he really know if he was born in Hawaii? Regardless if he got a birth certificate.
He remembers being born.
Oh, he's Powder all of a sudden? Is he the opposite of Powder?
Yeah, he remembers being born in Hawaii.
Do you remember being born?
I vaguely remember it. I remember being little, like 3. And that's how you can spot a pod person. They like to try to hypnotize you with every word they say, with different movements. Like sometimes they use this technique sometimes they use. That I mean, people think I'm an idiot, but I'm always right. I'm just going through a rough time. I'm actually a brilliant genius.
You know, there's a new Superman coming out.
The last Superman movie pissed me off. They took away truth, justice, and the American way, and just made it what was it? Truth, justice, and then he said never mind and just flew off. Like, what kind of shit was that?
You heard all the references to him being Jesus?
Superman?
Oh, I'd suggest you look him up. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, if I had a beard, I could play Jesus.
When you were in the bubble, like had a bubble bath as a kid, you ever take soap and put it all over your face and look in the mirror like you had a beard?
Yeah, this show's been boring, but kind of just like laid back.
I like it, man. I kind of like the laid back feel. And I think other people might like it as well. I don't know. Grown Up Stuff Podcast at blogspot.com, page on Facebook, and a page on Google+. Come check us out. Fucking join the party. It's a lot of fun.
The world always throws shit at us to talk about, you know? Like, if it wasn't for fucking fucked up shit in the world, we'd have nothing to talk about except ourselves.
There's always a reason to think that the world's ending, but it never does. The world's always ending for some reason, but it never will.
It will. It will.
Sure?
Trust me.
Are you sure?
You sound like the dinosaurs. That's what they were saying. They were like, fuck this.
Well, if this is a computer simulation, it may not. If this is all a computer simulation, the world may not end. Keep your fucking penises and vaginas clean.
Strawberry fields forever.